Good morning. It is Thursday, January 5th, 2023. My name is Barbara With, and you are here with me and the party and Albert Einstein and the psychic sorority. And it is 2023, the 7 year. It is the year of self-love. And it's such an exciting beginning to what I think is going to be a truly remarkable time ahead. Not always easy, but how grateful I am to be alive at this time. So come on over. We're going to talk, we're going to chat, and then we're going to listen to the party. And Happy New Year. Welcome to the party. We will command that only the most divine light shine down upon you at this time, and that the greatest good always be present here in your hearts and surrounding your bodies, penetrating your minds and uplifting you to the greatest good. This is the Genesis. This is the new day that all of you have been preparing lifetimes for. As you think about all you've been through, everything you've learned, the empirical experiences through this life that you are in this body, then multiply that by the other lives that you've lived that are just under your skin now. And multiply that by your connection to the collective consciousness so that you truly are one with all that ever has been and all that will come to be. And as you sit atop this power, your body clearly understands that you would not sit atop this power unless you were aligned to compassion. You do not get to reap the miraculous energy of love if you do not become love. And that is why today we begin at the very beginning of this whole new world. The excitement is beyond our able to articulate it to you. You're evolving. We are evolving. And what that means is some of us up here, as we've told you for a very long time, have been experimenting with the manifestation of physical matter onto the planet without having to come through a birth canal. The manifestation of a physical body encased in skin. How does your spirit move through that kind of experience? And that's why a lot of that work to manifest in that way is being done from afterlife, because up here, we are not subject to the same psychological distress that you are in the physical world with your intellect and your emotion and your intuition. You have a particular alignment that you've been doing, that you're doing and focused on. We up here, we're not fooled. This is far more of an experiment. But imagine if you, as a human, suddenly found yourself in a male body in Italy in the 1800s. It would be psychologically stressing for you. We are also making some great strides in that way. And don't be surprised if any of you ever sense or see a human that may resemble or feels like someone you've known before, feels like somebody who may have passed, because these experiments are going on. In this new earth that you're living in now, you are some of the first ones to be aware of this great transformational shift in humanity. Not just be aware, of course, because you've been a part of helping it happen. All of you working so hard in this life to work for the good of the whole, to help humanity make this incredible shift. And because of that, you are about to reap what you have been sowing. And the beautiful part is, for all of you, even on your worst days, even in your most evil time, the whole of who you are has always been aligned to compassion, the soul of who you are. So even the times maybe you've committed a crime, or you've lied to someone, or mostly you beat yourselves up. If anybody outside yourself beat you as badly as you beat yourself, you'd be in the emergency room sometimes. So even in those times, in the bigger picture of the operating system, you're still that massive sacred being that is creating the opportunity in the lens to have that human experience. So in this birth, you are going to find yourselves in decidedly different conditions. Your triggers are going to be almost instantly revolved. There's not going to be a lot of time where you have to work it out. A lot of that is because when you get into that aspect that wants to kvetch about something outside yourself, your whole system turns into compassion. And just like having a friend who doesn't want to look inside, how are you going to love that person? How are you going to inspire them? How are you going to help them see that path? The only way you can do it is by being it. And so even when you kvetch about something outside yourself as if it's responsible for you, making yourself into some victim, you love that part of you. You love being human. You love the whole journey, every high and low and in and out. You are in love with the ability to be a miracle maker, to create this life. And now you've come into a time that has never before been on the earth plane. Never before, ever. This is truly new. A new configuration of human beings and how they relate and how they make decisions and how they learn to self-love. Because all of them are here to do that, whether they know it or not. You can look at any human on this planet. You can look at the ordeals and the challenges and the things they've been through. All of it is learning to self-love. As you see old systems crumble, that's it. It's the old operating system. The old operating system is where you get emotionally triggered and then you look outside yourself for an answer. It's that simple. The new operating system is you get triggered and you look inside yourself for the answer. And because the answer is inside you, the old operating system, it served its purpose, but never really could get you to where you need to go. That's why you had to build a new one. And that is part of evolution. But this is really stunning for all of us. There is champagne flowing up here at all hours of the day and the night and the day and the night. So much is going on. So many up here are ready to reincarnate. So many up here are working to bridge the veils, shall we say. So really reaching out to communication to their families, the people that they're connected to, ancestrally, and prayers are going up on earth from the humans with the skin, prayers to their ancestors. And so those connections are being made quite well, and the energy is being exchanged. So you're getting power from those prayers for your ancestors. When you call up your ancestors and you get in touch with them, they are sending you from up here. Well, up, you know, the funny thing about that, but they're sending you energy when you do that. And then they're getting your insights and your connection as well. And there's the synergy too. Two or more are able to create something bigger than either individually could not. And when you have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of you all on the same page, you begin to see the genesis of it. You begin to see the birth and the regeneration of what had been old and dead and is falling away. As you're moving forward, we want to say this very clearly. The events of the world around you, pay attention as you see this happen. That systems that aren't supporting the good of all are crumbling. And there's one big, it's like there's a rubber band around the temple on the head of the planet. There's a structure on the planet right now that's been built up from, probably you could call it evil. You could call it evil. That the years and years of those who think power is something that you have over other people, instead of the power that we're talking about where you're aligned to compassion. So those systems are degenerating, and they have to go down in a way that's not going to just completely implode the planet from within. They have to go down in sections. Bear up, because some of it's not going to be pretty as you would imagine that it wouldn't be under these circumstances. And the good news is, however, that those people who are dying in this time period know that there are good people. There are people who are aligned to compassion who are going to die in the transition. It doesn't mean that they weren't good people in this life. It means that in the bigger picture of the mathematics, there was some reason why they left the planet in the way that they did. It's a bigger picture. There's more things involved, more mathematics involved. It's just not this. But for all of you who are working for the good of the whole, well, the same is true, even if you walked out the door tomorrow and was hit by a bus and didn't make it into 20, 30 more years. It's also perfect. And if that were to happen, and you got into afterlife and you saw the mathematical structure of it, it wouldn't lessen your incredible enthusiasm for this project. It wouldn't stop you from participating in the continuation of this, just in a different form. Now, we're not predicting anyone's death. We're just saying that in this change, you can't make judgments, or you can discern things, but you can't make assumptions about anybody's journey and why they're on that journey and why it ends up that they're on that journey. You can only hold yourself readily accountable for every day that you live as the creator of your own life. No more fooling yourself. No more pretending that you're just, no, I can't do this. I'm not this or that. None of that is going to fly in the new humanity. That's just self-abuse is what it is. And it's a lie. So this inner unification, aligning to compassion, having thoughts be superconscious thoughts, having intuition be the divine feminine in charge of the direction, and having the emotions flowing so fluidly, every single one of them. There are no negative emotions. There are no feelings that you don't want to move through your body. There isn't a scale that these are the nicer ones and those are the ickier ones. No, it's a spectrum of the whole operating system, wherein all emotions need to find their way through your body. And you've been doing it. You've been embracing the anger and the sadness and the loneliness and the fear as a power. And this is what's happened, is you've unified to the point where here's the new humanity being birthed, and you are the leaders. So every day in your own life, you are going to be given situations where you are going to lead this new humanity into by being aligned to compassion. Whatever you're doing, whoever you're talking to, whether you're actually engaged in something like teaching a class or doing some counseling or some consultation about conflict resolution, whether you're doing actual event things like that, or you're just moving around in your life, it doesn't matter. There is no difference in the power that you have to influence the planet. And what you're influencing the planet to do is self-love. You're reflecting back what it would look like if that person had self-love. Part of what all of you have learned, and particularly Lynn will address you coming into this no accident at the time and the place and the experience of what this mission has been all these years. You come here and you watch yourself. You can watch yourself from when you first arrived here, how you've learned about self-love and what that means, especially in these past few weeks, the sort of inkling that you've gotten to the most amazing part about self-love is that no one can take it away from you. It's that ultimate self-trust. It's that ultimate safety. You feel safe because you trust yourself. You feel safe because you love yourself, and you reduce the amount of energy that you spend creating conflicts, whether it's just internally, where you're talking mean to yourself. You reduce all of that into this being, this new humanity, based in compassion and ready, willing and able, committed to intend, to vision, and then manifest the greatest good possible on the planet. And never has there been a better time for such a force to emerge. And it's one reason why the world is the way that it is, because this force of the new humanity is bringing is unstoppable. You are conflict revolutionaries. You are angels. You're a party. And we are all in this together. So, how can we help with any questions or conversation?
This is Lynn. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I feel the channels that you're bringing to us each week are getting, well, to coin a phrase, richer and denser. And for me, listening without my ears and closing my eyes is allowing me to absorb more. And then the replays are fantastic. So I thank you. I would like to give back, and I've decided this is a gift to the party, Einstein, and so on. I mentioned this briefly to Barbara a while back, and I'd like the sorority to bask in something that I wrote in my undergraduate in 1996. Math not being one of my strengths, in an Algebra 101 class, my romantic side and my connecting with math in a different way created this writing. It goes along like this, and I think it so goes with when you keep talking about the mathematics here. So it's entitled Life Defined Algebraically. Basic Concepts. Life is full of basic concepts: breathing, hunger, gravity, happiness, pain, just to mention a few. Variables. Life has 3 variables: weather, which we will assign A through I, circumstance is J through R, and attitude is S through Z. Positive. An agreeable attitude with or towards one of life's variables. Negative, a disagreeable attitude with or towards one of life's variables. An expression, a way of communicating life's variables. A numerical expression, one way of assigning value to life's variables. Algebraic expression: in life, when you attempt to combine any of the above variables. The sum: adding up life's variables. The difference: subtracting or taking away life's variables. The product: when life's variables are multiplied. The quotient: dividing life's variables. Operations: the ability to recognize and apply the sums, the differences, the products, and the quotients to life's variables as needed. To simplify: the ability to see and execute operations to combine and thereby reduce life's variables. A value: the result each time life's variables are simplified as above. Evaluating algebraic expressions: realizing the value of the variables in life. Order of operations: in proceeding with the variables in life's operations, first deal with what is hidden, then work with the high-minded and low-minded aspects that may be present. Next, from left to right, multiply the benefits, divide the possible consequences, and finally add inspiration and subtract fear as they appear from left to right. Prime numbers: those solid variables in life that cannot be divided by others, yet none of them can be considered number one. A factor: a known part of one of life's variables. Greatest common factor: the ability to find the most significant factor in common between two or more of life's variables. Least common multiple: the ability to multiply two or more of life's variables to the nearest place where they have a common ground. A solution: an agreeable resolve to each of life's operations. Integers: the numerical rhythm of wholeness. Disruptive property: a process in life of combining and sharing. The base is life's foundation. An exponent is anything that helps one rise up and increase beyond our base. So there is mathematical resonance that equates with the lives that we are living. Thank you all for listening.
Yes, a beautiful poem of transmogrifying one to the other, the art of the number, and a beautiful song in and of itself.
Thank you. I thought you'd appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, Lynn. That brought algebra to a greater and compassionate perspective. I appreciate that. I just wanted to know, I know that we're the creators at every moment, but how does the party see the genesis of Synergy Alliance coming into being? What do you see? Can you give us a peek into what some of these wild dreams of ours will look like structurally and physically?
Well, yes, after 30 years of physical training, the humans that started out with us are going to expand our vision through all of you together as one configuration. The idea is that when you tap into the synergy, this happens naturally. When you are naturally living in your passion and not attached to a commodity, living fully, deeply, richly in this new humanity, it's going to build up around you naturally. And that's what you're feeling right now, is that there's a natural push from within. You're feeling not just pushed from within, impelled from your heart to move forward, but you also feel drawn towards a vision. And what we see is what we're doing our best to articulate through Barbara in this business plan. We see it's bigger than you can imagine or write about. And part of that is because every individual will get to go to their fullest, deepest, richest place. So for example, Debbie, if you had 3 more books in you, and you just really had always wanted to get that articulation out, they would just find a way to happen. It would be what would drive you to create that. If you were trying to, let's say, parlay resources, because you'll need resources to continue the operations. It's a whole, or to build the operations, it's a whole structure of a lot of different departments, fundraising and marketing and tech. And so it's a big mechanism, simple mechanism, not brain surgery. But because of conflict revolution, you've opened yourself up to the biggest vision that you want to dream, or not. Part of what makes this is that Barbara, who is the project manager perhaps, but also our longest working conscious one of you in this particular mission. So when she was 5, she was having visions of these next 30 years. And to her, it came in the form of being a rock star. But if all of her dreams, which they should, then there's some big stuff that's going worldwide in that alone. And that intellectual property becoming what it's always been destined to be is a resource to drive this message. And it's kind of what we talked about in Party of 12. It's what Diana said, is that if you can attach to this message to something that's going to get to 40 million people, it's not that it still isn't one person at a time. But if your intention is to fire this flaming arrow into the sky as a signal, as a sign, as a guide, so that those who are trying to find how to do it one person at a time are inspired and uplifted and enlightened, you can get it to 40 million, 60 million, 100 million people. You've got some great systemic change going on, and it changes everything. And it's much different than trying to be an activist and go at things directly to work in the arena of the world. Not that you shouldn't do that. We're not saying you shouldn't. It's just different. We do see around the world healing centers. We said that in the beginning. It's in diaries that you will have healing centers all around the world. And because your system's going to be simple, uncomplicated, and because you're not doing this to make money, you're not doing this to sell product. You're doing this to change the world. It won't matter. Money is not going to be a problem. It's what to do with it, how to turn that money back into the world. When you do that and the synergy takes place, then everybody's going to want what you have. Not just because it makes so much sense and it actually works, but because you are modeling it. They feel it in their bodies. Like, what does she have? I want what she has. I want what she drank. I'll have what she's having. That's a whole different dynamic. And then there's other things that you'll have to be aware of as far as how money can change human psyche. We're quite sure that we're not worried about that for any of you. That's why there's a bunch of you, because you're all grounding each other and rooting each other in the truth, which is nothing is about money. It's all about compassion. Does that help?
Oh, that's just a wonderful vision. Thank you so much. Yeah, and I do see this group as definitely grounding and rooting each other into compassion. I am just so thankful. And I see Barbara as a rock star no matter what.
Following up on that note, with the passion that we have and the passion that we embody and so on, for me, I have thought I was in the groove and I followed what felt like and identified as my passion a number of times in life, and have reached a point where I don't trust myself in that way. And it's definitely been informed by how it played out for me in other scenarios where I held a vision, I was passionate about what I held and could see and knew as possible, and the magical, and some of them, at times they benefited others and did have go on their own way, which was fine. But the experience for me was a building of self-doubt in this area. So I would appreciate if you could speak to that. Thank you.
Well, every single situation that you've been in your life is a platform that has been designed only and only to help you learn about who you are and where your power lies. That's the only reason you come here, to be human. Because once you realize who you are and where your power lies, you realize the importance of working for the good of all. Because when you really learn about who you are and where your power lies, you learn A, that you are part of a collective consciousness of one being, and B, you have the power to really screw things up. Learning these things takes time. It takes over and over, experimenting with this, experimenting with that. This works, that doesn't work. So every time you define this as some sort of, but I can't trust myself because it didn't work out like your ego told you it should have, because you haven't found a way to come to terms with what those things were. You're still attached in some way to it. So the doubt is what is the illusion in it. And when you do stop and redefine and go, wait a minute, everything I've ever done, whether it's looked like it was successful or was totally falling on my face, is a triumph of a miracle that I'm even here having this life, being here at this time. You see, so when you start to turn around, and that this is conflict revolution in the sense that if any voice in your head diminishes you, if any voice tells you anything less than you are the most powerful being and you have access to that power, then you're being lied to. That part of the mechanism is part of everybody's mechanism, that you always lie to yourself in that way through doubt, feeling that, you get that in your stomach. That's one thing. But intellectually, why you're defining that doubt, you need to redefine it and feel and breathe that through and affirm, I am whole. I am everything that I need. I have everything I need at my resources. And in that way, you overcome that old structure of the old humanity and replace it with the new structure of the new humanity.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hi, Jojo here. Just want to say that was great. Some things to really look forward to from what you said, some enticements. As much as I enjoyed being pregnant in the physical, this has been one mighty long pregnancy for us to birth this great big baby of a new humanity. I'm looking forward to running into Tesla and Michael Jackson. Those were the first two names that came to me when you said we're going to run into people that feel familiar. Strange but true.
Yes, well, not everyone will be manifesting.
No, of course not. But the energies of those people really speak to me.
Yes. We are going to close the channel at this time by giving you a mighty high five. This is the beginning of a most spectacular year. We thought we were excited last year when the regularity of our conversations increased. This year, you are going to find yourselves in the places that you have always wanted to go, whether it's something outside yourself, an actual location you've always dreamed of going, an actual situation you've always dreamt of being in, and also internally to that place that is in love with yourself, the place that is so united with your own I am, that the truth that no one can take that away from you unless you give it away is resonating within you as the good news. And then you'll only need to watch. And of course, you will be amazed. Namaste.